Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here and welcome back to another episode of Aim Higher, the series where we watch your replays in your games and basically break down what was good, what could have been better, and just showing off some cool stuff. Now, for those that like this type of video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I appreciate the guys' support on these. I love going through the replays and seeing what the community has to offer. And for those that actually want to submit their replays, keep in mind I'm only one person, and again, I haven't quite yet gotten a friend on this to do this, but I will be doing this with MV, hopefully, if not next week, the week after. Just submit it at my website, pokeaimMD.com. The link is always down below. So I got a lot of cool stuff here, and keep in mind, a lot of people don't like when I pause, but the people that do watch the series like it a lot, so it's completely fine. But it's called reviewing your battles. It's not just watching it together and that's it. We're going through what could have been better, what could have been worse, and hopefully showing off some fun stuff in the process. And today, guys, I got some really cool stuff. I got Burn Up Arcanine. I have the Cheek Pouch Recycled Diggersby that Envy and I made, like, I think last year or maybe even the year before or whatever. It might have been last year. And someone used it on High Ladder, which was so cool. And I have a bunch of cool, like, comebacks and stuff today, too. So it should be a lot of fun. And I also have Specs Tangrowth actually working, which is something that I have not yet to accomplish in a video. Every single time I bring Specs Tangrowth, it just sucks. But the first game we have here is an RU game versus the Bond Scott, excuse me, versus Redeem the Soul. Now, Redeem the Soul actually has quite a bit of points in the RU tier, but Bond has Bond Scott. Like, what am I saying? Yeah. Bond has a really cool Arcanine. Now, if you guys don't know how the move Burn Up works, basically when Arcanine uses it or any Pokemon uses it, they lose their fire type, which means they're not typing. They're not typing. Yo, what is up with me today, man? I can't even talk. But they don't have a type, all right? Which means they have no weaknesses. Effectively, they have no weaknesses. So ground is neutral, water is neutral, rock is neutral. So it's really cool for a fire type to be able to abuse that. And that's pretty cool here considering the opponent has Flygon and Starmie. In general, Arcanine is really good versus a lot of their team too. So it's really nice to see Arcanine potentially putting in some work right here. We also have some really cool sets like a Focus Sash, a Scavalierly with Metal Burst, and then you have like Choice Scarf Blastoise with Water Spout. They have Sticky Web from Arachnid with a Wish Sylveon for some defensive backbone, which is actually very important here because Scarf Flygon is obviously a threat. And again, like that Burn Up Arcanine just looks really cool. So looking at the other opponent's team, you have 4 Pokemon that Arcanine beats straight up, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the other 2 cannot knock out Arcanine if it goes for Burn Up, which is really nice considering I believe this Arcanine is toxic. So it can allow it to wear down and stall out Flygon as well as Starmie. So Arcanine also having the Intimidate lets it even pseudo check Flygon naturally, but also be a good check to Decidueye as well as the Scyther. And in general, it's really strong here. Now, like I did mention, this is a Focus Sash lead Escavalier, so it's going to be a pretty cool lead. Now, the opponent doesn't have like a Fire type or anything to really OHKO Escavalier, besides maybe Heat Crash on the Caparaja, but it's still a pretty decent lead here all around. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Arcanine is going to be very important for. Sticky Web are actually pretty decent here, though they don't have any spin control. But it makes like Tyrantrum just go in. Its Choice Band Tyrantrum Head Smash is so deadly. It doesn't matter if they have 2 resists. Both of them do not take it well at all. So let's get right into this game, see how it goes. We do see Arcanine lead versus Scyther. Now again, Arcanine is a phenomenal lead. It beats basically everything outright besides Starmie. Even Flygon doesn't want to take it on after an Intimidate. So this is a great lead, great positioning because you're basically free to either go for Burn Up or Toxic. Now, I like Burn Up more because you get to gauge how your opponent plays versus it, and it automatically puts the Starmie in a position where it was like, oh, okay, damn, I can't go for Scald to be able to threaten it. And so I love the Arcanine lead, and yeah, I just go right for Burn Up. I don't think you need a Toxic immediately. You want to see what they go out into. Plus, Starmie could have the Natural Cure if not Analytics. So we do see the Burn Up come out. And as you can see, Arcanine takes nothing from that Life Orb flip turn. Obviously, Starmie was trying to predict either Sylveon or Arachnid to come out. And we see the Toxic come out. Now, Vileplume comes in and doubles out into Flygon. That's a good double just because obviously another fire move could be annoying. But It's really interesting because again, this Arcanine, we get to see like it already forced out Starmie. Starmie's at 59%, but Flygon isn't going to be doing too much with Earthquake. As you see, Arcanine eats that up. It's not to a KO by an Earthquake. So nice little Toxic off on Flygon. That's beautiful for wearing down the Head Smash resist, and we're going to see a Morning Sun come out again. The Decidueye comes out, and once again, it just gets Toxic here as we reveal that Arcanine is faster than the Decidueye as they go for Swords Dance. So this is a decent position to want to switch out. Now, truthfully here, I'm not sure how I feel about the Sylveon mid-ground, but at the same time, Escavalier's Megahorn is super strong, plus it has Close Comments, Arsenal, and Iron Head knockoff, so like all that's way better. So honestly, Sylveon is a pretty decent switch, I guess. I would say, yeah, because Copperajah beats it, Vileplume can beat it, Starmie can't, but Scyther can potentially SD in front of it as well. So I think I could take that, just because they can deal with Starmie via soft checks in Araquanid, Scarf Blastoise, and even Escavalier. So I'm fine with that because I think Escavalier has a little bit more use. So I think that's completely fine. And basically, I think the idea behind this was to wear it down a little bit, but be able to bring out Arcanine after and threaten it. They actually opt to go out to Escavalier, which I think is a little bit of a misplay considering, like I just mentioned, one, they missed. Like they misplayed into a miss, right? So that's pretty big. But the other thing is that, like I said, this Escavalier can naturally take on Vileplume. It can naturally take on Starmie. It can naturally take on a Flygon. So why let it, go down there? And also, if you think they're going to go for the attack here, you have Metal Burst. Just go for it. There's no reason not to. But the better play was to go out into Arcanine there, though it does put your Intimidator in front of you. And by that means you don't have the Intimidate in the back, so you can't like switch in on Flygon and not be 2 KO and things like that. Well, even though you're a Fire type, so you still will be 2 KO'd. But yeah, it would have been a little bit better to go Arcanine there. I think it just click Burn Up. But they ended up missing Megahorn because of it. They're going to go for Shadow Sneak right here, and we're going to see Arcanine come out now. Scott, or I'm just going to call him Bon actually. Bon redeems himself right here by going for the Morning Sun, predicting him to go for Shadow Sneak. And I think that was a really good play because you're in the back now. You just lost 2 Pokemon to this. And I think that was a really, like there's a time and place to make aggressive plays. And I think that was like fine enough, especially because the opponent acknowledges that as a threat, right? It technically got half off on Starmie, even though it didn't. It can technically beat the Flygon, and it also threatens the last 3 members on top of the Decidueye in front of you. So that was a good call on the opponent, or on Bond's part, to go for the Morning Sun there, expecting Shadow Sneak, since Arcanine had already shown it's faster than the Decidueye. So we see Arachnid come out now on more than likely Hydro Pump or Scald or Surf. That does absolutely nothing. And Arachnid is going to end up going for the Sticky Web here in front of Starmie. Now, not KOing it. And the reason they did this was because if Starmie went for the Rapid Spin there, they could have KO'd it anyway. Sticky Web isn't necessary to an extent, but because it doesn't really actually help much because Copperajah and Vileplume are very slow. Flygon ignores it, and Scyther ignores it. But if Starmie was to switch out, it would mean that Tyrantrum is faster than that, guaranteed. So, and same thing with Arcanine, which could take it out. So I was actually okay going for Sticky Web there because it turns out they're Scarf Blastoise. They bait it to stay in, and Water Spout is going to pick up the KO. Now, this does mean that they can bring out Vileplume. However, the opponent opts to go out into Flygon, which, I mean, is fair considering if you get Earthquake damage off with your Scarf Flygon, which it is. Water Spout is weakened, and obviously Earthquake is super effective against these two. However, the damage on Flygon is really, really, really important because, and it fails to pick up the second KO, which is, even though you only do 4%, that poison is taking 2 extra turns than what it should have done. So that was very, very important here because now Arcanine can come in, and honestly, it can just click Morning Sun here. It doesn't have to worry about that. It actually did a decent chunk, but they opted to click Burn Up, which I guess is fair as well. I honestly would have clicked Morning Sun here because the 3 Pokemon they could bring out wouldn't have done anything. So instead of clicking Burn Up, personally, I think that Morning Sun would have been a little bit stronger of a turn. Just because they were most likely going to attack anyway and they go down to Poison. But that's okay. Either way, it was cool if you expected them to switch there, but then Earthquake would be a problem. Scyther comes out. Arcanine's forced to switch out. We're going to bring out Tyrantrum here. His Choice Band in this position. You just click, honestly, Head Smash. I'm assuming what Scyther wanted to do is go for the Brick Break just to get enough damage. So maybe a Giga Drain from Vileplume could KO if it was Dragon Dance Tyrantrum. Because if it was like Home Claw, Scale Shot, or like just Dragon Dance in general, it basically won from that position because Close Combat, Head Smash would OHKO everything. So we see the Choice Band Head Smash come out. That was the last Pokemon that's faster than the Arcanine. We're going to see another Head Smash come out on Vileplume as Vileplume clicks Sludge Bomb, trying to predict Arcanine to want to come out. So that means to believe that they either didn't want to risk Sleep Powder or don't have it in their Strength Sap plus Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, and maybe Aromatherapy or Leech Seed, depending on the team. Leech Seed could be cool if it's leftovers Copperajah. But we're going to see the Choice Band Head Smash connect right there. It does connect a third time. and that's going to be able to knock out Vileplume. Copperage is going to come out, and then the head smash actually misses here, as Heavy Slam is going to be able to knock out the Tyrantrum, but yeah, Arcanine is going to come out. And honestly, with a burn up, it doesn't really have to worry, but it goes for Morning Sun first to be able to just resist an attack, and then going for Heavy Slam again. I'm guessing they're potentially the Power Whip, Heavy Slam, Heat Crash, Stealth Rock variant. Just basically a variant without Earthquake. So it means that Arcanine is just able to beat it 1v1. But yeah, a few key turns. I think the Morning Sun was really good in front of Decidueye. The opponent ends up forfeiting there. I think the Morning Sun was really good in front of Decidueye. I think that they should have went for Morning Sun in front of Flygon, but I understand why they didn't, because if they expected to switch, they'd go for Burn Up. But it was just really cool to see like Burn Up Arcanine defensively taking on Pokemon that it would normally not. So that was a fun one. So I have another one right here. And this is a pretty cool one because it shows off Sand Force of Paddle. Like I said, we got a little bit of heat coming up today. So this one is, I believe, by Hyperspark 269. And they were testing out a team. I believe this also has Mandibuzz and Dragapult now instead of a few of these members, which makes the team a lot better versus Ghost types. And yeah, a big thing to notice here. We have another Arcanine, which I thought was pretty appropriate to show. But a big thing to notice here is that they have no water resist, right? They have no water resist, and that is a Starmie. And that Starmie just clicks Hydro Pump and Surf. Now, the good thing is that if it's Hydro Pump, it can miss. If it's offensive Starmie, Excadrill can KO it after Rocks. And Lycanroc can do a lot to it as well. This is Gen 8 OU, by the way, if you guys didn't know. Scizor is actually pretty decent here for 1, 2, and 3, and potentially even checking Starmie. Arcanine isn't the best in this situation because while it does have Intimidate to sponge some Earthquakes, you're going to be doing too much damage with the entire team, and the one mon it comes in on safely, which is Scizor, just U-turns them out as it comes in. So it's one of those games where if you can get rid of the Togekiss, Sand Force of Powdon, it's Choice Band, Sand Force of Powdon can put in a lot of work. You just got to be careful because Starmie can overwhelm a lot of the Pokemon. Excadrill is really interesting here too because Iron Head is really strong and so is Earthquake, so I like Excadrill a lot, and especially because it resists Bullet Punch from Scizor. And Scizor from the opponent, if it's Swords Dance, it's going to be a problem. But yeah, so we see Togekiss lead versus the Gengar. Good lead on Hyperspark's part. I'm not sure if this Gengar was Focus Sash or, excuse me, I don't think it's Focus Sash. But I like Gengar in general because there's two Pokemon that are stronger than it or match up well versus it. One of them is Starmie, which has to fear Gengar being Choice Scarf. And I guess Dragapult could fear it too, but Dragapult is also another one of those mons that could randomly Choice Scarf too. But Pult, you can switch into Tyranitar, and Gengar might actually be able to live a hit from Starmie if it's not Psyshock. So it was cool because you can immediately get a good position versus basically everything else. So we're going to see a Sludge Wave come out turn 1 versus Togekiss as Weakness Policy is going to activate and Gengar goes clean down to the Air Slash. Now, Hyperspark makes a really good play here. They go out into their Excadrill and they go right for the Rapid Spin. Again, that was really solid because Iron Head and Rock Slide were like the two plays you could make here from an offensive position. And you don't want to risk Starmie coming in on an Earthquake randomly. You don't want to risk Dragapult. Yeah, there's no way you're going to risk one of your Ghost types on one of this thing coming in. So Rabbits are really cool because it gives you the speed to be able to hit Starmie and also threaten Dragapult and Gengar. But basically, you want to hit Starmie here because if you hit Starmie with Earthquake, then that means that Lycanroc can knock it out. That means that Scizor can knock it out +2, right? So that was a really, really, really good Rapid Spin. Unfortunately, Chuka is running the one Choice Scarf Starmie in the entire game to outspeed Excadrill at +1 and knock it out. And that was really sad because I understand why they went for that play. They went for that play because if they got the damage off on Starmie, then Scizor could do a lot of work. Now, I think there's a little bit of misplay going for Stealth Rock here. If you expect the Starmie to switch, sure. Which Starmie probably should have switched, honestly. Scizor should have most likely came out here on the Tyranitar. But the thing is, Stealth Rock aren't necessary to pick up KOs, right? Sand Force of Powdon will KO Arcanine, will KO Gengar, will KO Dragapult, will 2-hit KO Scizor, right? And it will smack offensive Starmie as well, which they are because you know that they're Choice Scarf. I think you always want to crunch there. They had no Dark Resist on their team, and honestly, just getting damage off, like this basically ended up happening, right? The Starmie ended up staying in, not caring, going for Surf, 2-hit KO Tyranitar, and then Lycanroc comes out now, and Lycanroc decides to miss a Stone Edge, so it's already looking bad 6 turns in, and honestly, you probably had to go Lycanroc there. The only other play you can make besides going Lycanroc was going Scizor. Scizor might have been a little bit safer to go out into, because then you could, if they stayed in, you KO them, right? You take the Surf, and you KO them with U-turn. And if they switch out into Arcanine, then you get in Lycanroc in an offensive position because, again, they have no rock switching, and provided you actually connect attacks, you can KO some Pokemon. But that didn't work out the way they wanted it to. So Scizor comes out now. We are going to see Starmie stay in and go for the Surf, as they're going to bring out their Hippowdon, and that's a Life Orb Scizor. We're going to see Hippowdon come out, and this is where it gets a little bit crazy because Gengar comes out. Gengar goes for Taunt, which is such an odd play, right? Because, like, what would you expect Hippowdon to go for right here? Stealth Rock are already up, so I'm not sure why they went for Taunt. I think, oh, actually, no. They went for Taunt because this is Dragon Dance Dragapult, and because their last few actually don't deal with Hippo too well. I understand now. I believe this is Dragon Dance Dragapult. Because their last few don't deal with Hippo too well, because, again, they're, like, more physical offensive mons, and Hippo is typically a physically tanky mon, I understand the taunt there. I do think they should have Shadow Balled, though, initially, because this is no ordinary Hippo. But I get the taunt there, because then Dragapult could Dragon Dance and hit him with a little bit of damage, then bring out, you know, whatever. Now, the thing is that crit didn't matter, because this is Choice Band Sandforce in the sand. That was going to OHKO Dragapult anyway. So what turned out from a Starmie sweeping everything is becoming an Hippowdon doing the exact same thing. Scizor comes out. Scizor is going to go for the knockoff there, but it's still Sandforce. And look how much it does. 64% to Scizor. Scizor can't even roost that off. Or it can try to. They tried SD here for whatever reason. Like, honestly, you had to do damage. I think they should have just gotten damage off, because Arcanine's going to come out. And Hippo just says, no, I don't care about your team. I'm a bulky Pokemon. They should have definitely tried to get off damage there. Now, I don't think there was much that can KO there. But it was. I wanted to show this off because I think it was so funny to see, like, a game that was not going Hyperspark's way at all, right, end up being an Hippowdon sweep. Now, I definitely think what you should have done was Shadow Ball with Gengar from the opponent's side. Shadow Ball with Gengar, and then went Scizor and knocked off after. Because you also, you know, you could have also gotten Curse Body. You didn't know if Curse Body happened or not, but you could have went Scizor after and knocked off. I think Shadow Ball into knockoff would have been fine. You would have, if it was defensive Hippowdon, it wouldn't be able to beat an SD Roost Scizor anyway. Assuming you were Roost, let's say you were knockoff Swords Dance Bullet Punch Roost, and you would always win for that position. This is the one Hippowdon that would beat that Scizor. So I think the opponent definitely misplayed. I get why they went for Dragon Dance though, because they wanted the damage on it. That way Arcanine could just come in and click Flare Blitz twice and win. So I understand the Dragon Dance play, and of course it turned out to be a Choice Band Sandforce one. So I mean, that was cool in general. So this one, we got Agency Draco. My boys repping both me and Blunder. I believe this person's name is Delio 19. Delio 19. And they have a really cool team. I'll show it off because I actually have a Pokebase. So we have Choice Band Rillaboom. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Choice Band Rillaboom that's adamant that runs Super Power. Mainly because I think outspeeding max speed, even though max speed Heatran isn't that common, I think outspeeding, being able to outspeed max speed Heatran and having superpower is important. But obviously I understand the, you know, the added damage versus Feral Thorn and of course Heatran in general. We have Teleport, Future Sight, Slowbro, which we already know pairs amazing with Rillaboom if there is no U-turn on it. I don't even like U-turn on Rillaboom, I'll be honest. This is the set I always run as well. Nasty Plot, Heat Wave, Hurricane, Defog, Torn, and this is cool too because Defog means you can hit your attacks. We have the Cheek Pouch, and again, Envy and I did this. We made this back in the day, and I believe we beat a Kyurem Black with it, which is really cool. But it spikes Toxic, Recycle, and Super Fang. And this is a really cool set because it could double as like a Dragapult answer, but also the main part about it is to know the hell out of your opponent, get some damage off of them with Super Fang, but mainly just set up spikes. If you guys didn't know, Cheek Pouch activates every single time you eat a berry, so you get even more health. It's so cool. It is so cool. We have Choice Scarf Mew, which I think is a really cool tech, especially with hazard support from Stealth Rock Heatran as well as Spikes Diggersby, and it can really just put that surprise factor out there. So I love this. I love this. But yeah, let's go ahead and watch this game. Now, looking at this game right here, Rillaboom's pretty whack, right? It kind of sucks. It's faster than Bisharp, but it doesn't take +2 Sucker Punch with Stealth Rock up. Kartana, Victini, Dragapult, Togekiss all resist it. And Mamoswine has Ice Shard. If it's Jolly Mamoswine, it is faster than Adamant Rillaboom. Though Mamoswine seems to be the rocker on this set, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's Focus Sash lead Mamoswine. The Diggersby is pretty useless as well, but it's good versus Dragapult, which is pretty cool because it can take Specs Dracos with ease because it gets back the Cheek Pouch and the Citrus Berry. It's immune to the Shadow Ball. It doesn't care about being burnt. Avoids Thunder Wave, so it's really nice here. And the cool thing is that Heatran also doubles as a check to that. But Heatran's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit overwhelmed here. But yes and no, right? It doubles as a check to Dragapult. It's a check to the Togekiss. It's a check to Victini. It's a check to Kartana. It's a check to Bisharp. Like, it's a check to everything, basically. So it's a little bit overwhelmed, but the good thing in terms of Victini, Slowbro is there for that, and Slowbro is basically only useful for that, as well as Mamoswine. And overall, I think that Spikes plus Torn, or even Spikes plus Scarf Mew. Scarf Mew looks really cool here, especially if it's not Scarf Kartana, if it's Banded Kartana as well. And just Scarf Ice Beam looks really good for this back row here. Aura Sphere, obviously, as well. So I'm excited to see how hazards are going to be a big part of this game. And yeah, let's just see how it goes. So we see a Mamoswine lead versus the Diggersby. Now, as I mentioned, Diggersby is kind of useless. It's decent for Dragapult, but you have special defensive Heatran to that too. So, and your opponent, this is high ladder, by the way. This is like 1800, 1900 OU ladder. So the opponent knows that you have a Slowbro, and this is most likely Rock's Mamoswine. I understand the trade right here, and I think that when you're fighting somebody of skill, you do have to adapt how you play. So, and especially if you know their skill, you just assume based on points. I mean, don't always assume, but because anybody can ladder up. But right here, I understand the Spikes play just because Diggersby doesn't have the strongest role in this game, considering everything beats it on the team, but it does check Dragapult, which Heatran does. So a Spike here is actually really nice, and I like that Spike a lot because it helps Rillaboom actually be a little bit of a threat. Like, it 2-hit KOs Dragapult now. So we do see the Slowbro come out, and we are going to see Slowbro take an Earthquake into Teleport. Now, honestly, right there, I don't think you needed to Teleport. I really don't. I honestly think Slack Off was fine, and the reason I'm saying this is because worst case scenario is they go Bisharp, which risks Scald Burn, right? I don't know if Teleport was absolutely necessary because obviously the Mamoswine ended up staying into Earthquake, which obviously didn't work out for Slowbro in that scenario. But yeah, I don't know if you needed Momentum because you actually defensively deal with a lot of what can come in. So either way, they bring out Rillaboom here, and because they're more than likely thinking that this Mamoswine is Sash, you don't see an item. You saw it for Stealth Rock. You don't see Life Orb, and Metronome Mamoswine does not run Stealth Rock. You always want to be attacking with that thing. They get at the grassy terrain, which is a really good play because it allows them to bring out Slowbro in the grassy terrain, avoid to weaken Earthquake, take the Ice Shard damage, or take whatever. We do see an Endeavor come out, which is cool, you know. We are going to see Slowbro go for the Teleport again, or Slack Off. Okay, so I think that turn, in particular, you could have avoided. You could have afforded to go for Teleport. Reason being is, Earthquake wouldn't 2-hit KO you, and you already have a Spike up, so Mamoswine is gone in that position, right? Mamoswine is dealt with in that position, so I really feel like you could have avoided. You could have afforded to go for Teleport there in that specific position because it also, like, you have a Bolt Strike switch in, V create from Victini's, whatever. But the Spike Up is really important because Mamoswine Sash is broken. But anyway, Dragapult comes out. Heatran is a pretty decent switch in always, unless the opponent is Specs Hydro Pump, which is so cool to see. That's why I want to show off this battle. That is some heat, right? We see Specs Hydro Pump come out from Dragapult, and I love this. I love this tech because it weakens Heatran for all 4 of these members. So it's such a cool tech. Like, I'm like geeking out over this. It's such a cool tech because it weakens Heatran for Victini, Bisharp, Togekiss, and Kartana. All of them love Heatran being weakened. And then we do see a double out into Victini happen on what I'm assuming that Pop Smoke I just realized the name expected Rillaboom to want to come out, or the Slowbro. So we see Slowbro come out now, like I said, Slowbro's only here for this Pokemon. Everything else can kind of beat it, besides Mamoswine. But Mamoswine, with its Spike being up, is not a threat because Rillaboom will always be able to OHKO it, and Mamoswine can't KO it back. So right here, you either click Teleport, you either click Scald. If they click Bolt Strike, it doesn't matter. If they click U-turn, you can Teleport. Honestly, Teleport is just absolutely free this turn. And Victini can either U-turn out or Bolt Strike, or go for Final Gambit, which it ends up having. But honestly, I think this was a trade that was in my boy Draco's favor. Because Victini, if you didn't see the fact that Heatran is at 30%, could have been clicking V-Creates in this game, or even Bolt Strikes in this game, which are threatening still, with Heatran being gone. So, and then U-turns all around as well, especially because there's no Stealth Rock, there's only Spike Up, and Grass Terrain is healing every single time. It gets like free switching. So, honestly, this is a trade that's better for Draco because Slowbro is only there for Victini and Mamoswine, but like I said, Mamoswine is checked by the fact that there's Grass Terrain up and that Spike is up too. So, honestly, that's a decent trade. Where'd the Spike go? Okay, I would say, where'd the Spike go? So, we see the Dragapult. We do see the Dragapult come out and go for a Specs Draco Meteor, and you see that Diggersby just chews that up. It chews this up, get its little cheek pouch, and opts to go for Toxic here, back at 85%. The Toxic is good too, guarantees that Rillaboom 2 KOs Dragapult. Even after Grass Terrain Recovery with Grassy Glide, it also would have hit Togekiss upon switching if that wanted to come out. So really nice right now. You can go for the recovery if you want to with the recycle. Exactly. So we see a recycle come out. That means that Dragapult can always come out. We're going to see the Heat Train go down. At this point, Victini can't fire off V-Creates because it's dead. And obviously, a 12% Heat Train is just going to be fodder. We know that Dragapult can just come in and click Draco and kill something besides Diggersby. So it makes sense to sack Heat Train there. You get to find out a little bit about the Kartana as well. Kartana goes for knockoff, and Tornadus is easily the best play right now. It won't die to a +1 knockoff if it's Choice Scarf. If it's Choice Band, it's outsped, and we saw here it has the Heat Wave. So Torian can just come out and just go for a Heat Wave if it wants to, as Dragapult is going to come out. Hurricane is also very free, and we do see the Hurricane connect, and because of that toxic damage, Hurricane picks up the KO. Luckily, it did connect right there. Bisharp comes out here. You always want to click Heat Wave. It is a threat if it sets up, and you don't really have a lot for it. The opponent unfortunately dodges, and this is important too because Grassy Glide could have KO'd after if Heat Wave didn't KO, which I'm fairly confident Max Special Attack Heat Wave doesn't KO Bisharp. Oops, that's coupon. Looking at some coupons. What is it? Tornadus. So we have Nasplat right here. I like that some of them are running Heat Wave. I think that's pretty cool too. So this is Bisharp. That's Focus Blast annihilating it. Let's just make sure if Heat Wave KO'd or not. Yeah, Heat Wave did 91 to 107. So actually that 100% mattered because Bisharp would have died there. But the opponent makes a misplay in my opinion. And they ought to go for knockoff a second time, trying to predict Draco to... My bad, bro. I'm going to call you Draco because I see it right there. Draco. Trying to predict Draco to switch out. And honestly, I don't understand why. Okay? If you Sucker Punch Tornadus, you can Sucker Punch and beat everything. The Diggersby already showed it has Spikes, Toxic, Recycle. So if it has Earthquake, then Togekiss gets to come in, and Togekiss smacks everything as well, naturally, right? Plus, you can keep Bisharp. If it has Return, you Kartana it every single time, right? And Cart looks amazing, especially if it's Bandit. If Cart's Bandit or whatever, and plus that Mew is still a threat. You don't know what Mew is. So, honestly, I think this is a misplay on the opponent's part, not going for Sucker Punch there. I don't know if they felt bad, but I think they just tried to predict, and honestly, again, you don't always have to predict. Guys, you do not always have to predict. You predict when it's necessary. But in that position, especially when you just got blessed by dodging you dodged the attack, you knocked off heavy duty boots, so you don't even have to worry about Regenerator. Mamoswine's Ice Shower always knocked that out. Mamoswine looks phenomenal too. So again, they should have clicked Sucker Punch. This was a choke on their part by not going for that. They didn't have to predict. Unnecessary. Mamoswine comes out, and there you go. So now if they have Defog, it don't matter. It's been broken. So we already see the Ice Shark come out as it should be. Rillaboom is going to come out here. And I guess the opponent doesn't want to risk them going for like... I think at this point the opponent thinks they win with knockoff. So what they're going to do is they're going to get a little bit of extra chip damage off on the Rillaboom right here with the Ice Shark because they're Jolly and this is Adamant. This is also, like I said, I like Jolly Rillaboom always. But give me able to knock them out. We're going to see Kartana come out. And again, I believe at this point they think they win with knockoff because... knockoff is going to come out, knock him out, and it will be able to knock on Mewtwo, especially if it's Choice Band Cart. If it is Choice Band Cart, if it's Scarf, it's also going to do a lot anyway to even defensive Mew. But there we see the Scarf Mew outspeed Kartana, which was Choice Band. Knock it out. And Togekiss is going to come out, and if it's Thunder Wave or Roost, it can beat it 1v1. But this is an offensive team, so it actually turns out to be that sub-Nasty Plot Salic Berry variant, which means that Draco is going to be able to win with the Scarf Mew. And I thought it was really cool here that we saw the defensive tech of, and look, like I said, this is high ladder. We saw the defensive tech of Diggersby, which is again something that Envy and I made back in the day. And it was such like, I was like, oh man, people use this stuff. That's so cool. And to see it come back, and then of course Scarf Mew as well. This is actually something I loved so much as well back in I think Black and White. I used Scarf Mew a lot, so it's so cool. This was like. It's like a blast in the past, a blast from the past, and to see it on high ladder. But again, I think the opponent made a few misplays. Zero reason not to Sucker Punch. In fact, I think they would have won if they clicked Sucker Punch, especially because you literally get in Togekiss, and because you are sub Togekiss, Diggersby cannot touch you. You get the sub off, and you just spam Air Slash. If Mew comes in and it reveals Ice Beam, who cares? You still got a Bisharp to Sucker Punch it, right? Rillaboom is beaten by Kartana. Kartana also beats Diggersby. If Kartana's at full HP, which it would have been if it hadn't taken any damage from Rillaboom, then it lives Ice Beam from Scarf Mew. Scarf Mew has the Flamethrower or Aura Sphere to be able to knock it out. And again, if if it fails to KO it, then it'll die back to Kartana. So again, I think there were some positions. I think the opponent. I keep trying to mix my words because I'm talking too fast. But I think the opponent definitely threw when they didn't need to, and I'm glad my buddy Draco was able to take advantage. Like, why would you not Sucker Punch? It makes no sense. What are you trying to predict there? You don't have to. Anyway, we have another OU game, and this one is Mr. Sam I Am. Excuse me, Mr. Sam I Am 787. And obviously, if anybody gives me like links to like their social media or their YouTube, I always link them down below. Sam linked me his Twitter, so I'll link him down below. And this is an older game. Obviously, you can see we have the Urshifu there. We have Spectre. We have, look how old this is. We have freaking Kyurem Black, right? So this is from November 4th, 2020, right before everything got banned. Literally right after the release of the Crown Tundra. And they're using the team that I used in a video with Double Trick Ring Target with Zoroark as well as Regieleki. And then you got some bad boys in the back with Assault Vest, Melmetal, and Dragon Dance Kyurem Black. Now this is a very tough matchup. Why? The opponent has Swampert. And this is not Specs Zoroark with Grass Knot. And honestly, the Coco doesn't have Grass Knot either, if I'm not mistaken. So it is a huge problem to take down. They have Melmetal to always wall Kyurem Black. They have an Urshifu, which is, I mean, dealt with by Coco, but it's still a giant threat. Spectre is a giant threat too because it can overwhelm stuff, though Klefki can click spikes. But, and the main sweeper of this team, which is Regieleki, honestly isn't that great because unless they trick a ring target to Swampert, which, I mean, the opponent should never let them trick a ring target to Swampert. It can't KO that. And on top of that, it has to deal with Sucker Punch from Urshifu, which has a chance to knock it out for Stealth Rock, or does knock it out with Stealth Rock, and it has to get damage on Kyurem Black in order to beat it. And on top of that, I think Melmetal, if it's Assault Vest, lives a Thunderbolt as well, even into rain. So, very scary matchup for Sam. However, if I'm Sam, I notice that the entire team or from the opponent is grounded. So, first thing I want to do is get up spikes with Klefki. Klefki also matches up well versus Spectre, Kyurem Black, and Urshifu, as well as Tapu Fini to an extent. So, getting up spikes is very important. Plus, maybe you could potentially trick away your ring target on Swampert, meaning you can Volt Switch and Thunderbolt and actually have a good win con with Regieleki right here. Another thing I want to do if I'm Sam is I want to Dragon Dance up with Kyurem to try and force damage on the Melmetal to weaken it. That way my Regieleki can knock it out guaranteed. Maybe even trying to force every hit on Swampert. Like if I have something in front of Swampert, I'm always going to attack it. That's what I'm going to do because I want my Regieleki to be able to sweep. Let's see how it goes. I think keys are a great lead though. We do see the keys come out versus Melmetal. Thunder Wave is important. Like, you might be thinking, well, man, why would I click Thunder Wave turn 1 when I can get up a spike? Thunder Wave and Melmetal is actually really important too because this is another Pokemon that, as you can see, Sam has no answers for. So if you Thunder Wave it, you limit its opportunity to ever get off an attack. So that is a turn 1 that I will always stand by because if this Pokemon can't attack, you might be able to beat it, right? Dragon Dance Kyurem might be able to beat it if Melmetal gets paralyzed a little bit too much. Or, you know, you might even get fortunate here and be able to get up a spike after. So that's just a Pokemon you want to be able to deal with, in my opinion. That's something you want to be able to help yourself with. So we do see a full pair. We see a spike come out. Now, realistically, you might have been able to trick this thing, the ring target here. That way, if it's Assault Vest, yeah, you wouldn't be able to set up Hazard after, but at least you get rid of its Assault Vest, so that helps out like Zoroark and everyone on your team. But honestly, it ends up being, I think, Choice Band Melmetal, if I'm not mistaken. Melmetal is going to come out. We're going to see Tapu Fini come out now on the Earthquake. And like I said, like this is like a type of Pokemon that you just want to keep attacking what's in front of you because you need to weaken everything. The great thing about Tapu Fini is it can't do any damage to Melmetal. It can't burn it. This is Assault Vest. You can knock it out with... You can honestly, the Mist Terrain helps it because it means that Spectre can't burn it either. So this is honestly a Pokemon... Like if I'm Sam, there's two things I do. I either go Coco here, potentially Scald or Defog, or I just click Double Iron Bash. And honestly, I see no reason not to click Double Iron Bash here. So we do see Coco come out, though. That's a safer play. That is a safer play, maybe for like a Nature's Madness. And Coco does have Roost, if I'm not mistaken. So it's safer. I do think that attacking Tapu Fini was fine, though. Opens up Zoroark's dark moves a little bit more, even though Urshifu is obviously there, but Zoroark can have Focus Splash too. So it opens up Zoroark a little bit more. But we do see the default come out, and Coco is going to come right out. And we're going to see Coco go for, I believe, the Volt Switch this turn on Swampert coming in. And then right out to Kyurem Black, they go. So this is the big deal. Like, if they had clicked Double Iron Bash in front of Tapu Fini, they would knock it out, right? As Spike would be gone, whatever. Maybe the opponent would have an Urshifu. However, you have a Tapu Koko that can always come in an Urshifu at full. However, Swampert is even worse to come in on because it will always flip turn and just threaten you with something like Melmetal. So we see an Earthquake come out. Excellent play on the opponent's part. Why the hell would you get up rocks when I can play Earthquake and super effective on 3 Pokemon and 2-hit KO Zoroark and do 1,000,000 to Kyurem Black? Holy crap. But we do see the Kyurem Black actually go for the Dragonets here. I think that Swampert should not have stayed in and went for the Earthquake. Granted, Resident Peasant was obviously just blessed with a critical hit right there, but I definitely think they shouldn't have done that play. I think they should have just went right out into Melmetal hard, right? Either hard Melmetal or hard Tapu Fini as just a way of stopping it from setting up if you have Moonblast. But I don't think they should have stayed in. Obviously, they were blessed. But the reason I say that is because, you know, if Swampert goes down, that Regieleki has a chance. That Regieleki has a chance. Now, unfortunately, Sam was basically forced to Dragon Dance there. It made sense for them to go Melmetal, so you want to weaken Melmetal so Regieleki could do it. We see Regieleki come out, and this is like the most obvious of obvious things. But at this point, you got to go for it, right? It's Zoroark, man. It's Zoroark. They should not have stayed in. But they, you know, your skill always catches up to you, right? Your skill will always catch up to you. So they had 2 easy switches. The first one was Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini was 100% the Pokemon that should have came in there. It scouts for Zoroark. If they go for Trick, whatever. If they go for Volt Switch, if they go for Hyper Beam, Tapu Fini lives it, and you get a hit off on Regieleki, and now it's guaranteed. Like, that was not the play to go for. And on top of that, you know, they let Swampert take damage. So basically, Regieleki has a chance, and Coco has a chance now too. Spectre is going to come out. We're going to see Melmetal come out. Pray it's not Will-O-Wisp, as it does end up being Will-O-Wisp right there. Maybe they could have went out to Regieleki that turn, but you don't know what the Spectre set is. But either way, Melmetal was able to take that. We're going to see Coco come out on the Hex and unfortunately get crit too. So, you know, not too much justice. But Coco, if it lives or if it wins the Speed type, or actually I'm not sure if that's bulky Spectre based on the damage, it can click Thunderbolt right now and knock out the Spectre. So we are going to see it win the Speed tie. However, Regieleki is in, and Regieleki is now. And that Swampert basically dead. So Perk comes out. Gonna die. Rising Voltage is gonna come out. Obviously, the Fini can come out right now. They end up going Kyurem Black. And you had to save Melmetal. It made sense because obviously Kyurem Black is a problem. As they end up going for Ice Spear. Now, from this position, you never ever stand with Kyurem Black because you have a 100% win if you don't. Right? You just always go out into Fini. You always go Fini and you sack it because not only do you change the terrain so the Rising Voltage isn't as strong, but you don't let Kyurem take damage. Now, granted, again, Regieleki cannot knock out Melmetal, not if Mr. Terrain is there. So if Fini comes out, you still have roads to win, but if you're the opponent, you want to get as many opportunities to win as possible, especially because you're paralyzed Melmetal. So they end up going Tapu Fini. Great play. Again, always a play. As the opponent, oh, my boy Sam was like, you know what, even though my opponent stayed in with Swampert when they shouldn't have, I'm going to make the play that potentially gives me the win if they go out to Tapu Fini. And that ends up working out for them because Regieleki comes out. We're going to see Spectre get sacked. They're going to save their Tapu Fini, I guess, as a way of just, as a means of getting a little bit of damage on Melmetal if possible. I don't think Spectre was that useful anyway, which is fine. Urshifu comes out before Kyurem Black. Honestly, I think that Kyurem Black should have came out first because what ends up happening here is that, I told you, it's a roll if you don't have Stealth Rock. And it's going to be able to knock out the Urshifu. And that just made this game get a little bit more interesting. Because you just got rid of your only way to guarantee Oko Melmetal. And Melmetal's still a giant problem, even if it's paralyzed. I mean, burn, excuse me. So we're going to see that Mon go down. So the opponent is definitely not... Their end game isn't as clean as it should be. And they make misplays. But Kyurem comes out. We're going to see Melmetal come out now as the opponent opts to go for Dragon Dance. I mean... Honestly, this was not a play that you did not have to make, especially because they went for Fusion Bolt after. And Regieleki is faster than +1 Kyurem. We do see a weakness policy activate, which is pretty cool. But Regieleki is faster than +1 Kyurem. If you knew you were weakness policy, all they had to do was Dragon Dance again. If they Dragon Dance again, they won. Because +2 Kyurem. So this is, again, another misplay on the opponent's part. Because now it's going to come down to if Melmetal gets paralyzed. So we're going to see Regieleki Thunderbolt outspeed him. Melmetal's going to come out. What I mentioned before, it can live a hit. However, it does get fully paralyzed, and that means that Regieleki is going to be able to win because it does outspeed Tapu Fini and knocks it out. And the opponent said, or not, someone named Evil Tyranitar came in and said, damn the paralysis. But like I said, Resident Peasant had a whole lot of different ways to win there. Even at the end, all they had to do was Dragon Dance again in front of the Melmetal and then knock it out because they would have been +4 instead of +3. So they would have been +4. They would have had the speed to be able to outspeed Regieleki and knock it out too, and it wouldn't even come down to pairs. So there was a lot of ways that they could have won that game. And honestly, I want to show off this game because it shows that, like, even if the matchup isn't in your favor, even if things are not going your way, you either play for the chogi, you play for the pair. And I'm an avid believer in playing for the position that you like. The game is not over until it's over. I'm an avid believer in that, right? The game is not over until it's over. Until it says I have lost the game is not over. And this is exactly what happened here. So even though Para ended up doing it, the opponent had a lot of other plays. Now we have another one right here, and this is where the first time I've ever seen Specs Tangrowth put in some work. Now this is Choice Specs Tangrowth. I believe its moveset is Sleep Powder. It does have Sleep Powder on it, which is fine. Like, I think you could usually go Leaf Storm plus Giga Drain, Focus Blast, and Sludge Bomb, but it's Sleep Powder, whatever Grass move. I think it's Leaf Storm, Sludge Bomb, and Focus Blast, and it's actually really, really good here because you can see they don't have Ferrothorn. Their steel types are very shaky defensively, right? Bisharp is not a defensive monster, and it takes 1,000,000 from Leaf Storm. It probably takes like close to 60%. Excadrill gets Oko from Specs Tangrowth. Dragapult takes like probably 50% from Specs Leaf Storm. Slowbro dies, Landorus can die, Koko can die. So Tangrowth is really, really strong here, especially because Rillaboom gets to the grass turn as well. A few other things here. We have Slowbro, which is, defensively, I mean, Scalds are annoying, but again, when you have that Specs Tangrowth, who cares? It's not a problem. Bisharp can be a little bit annoying too, but Rillaboom should be able to outspeed it. Landorus can outspeed it. Thing is, obviously, you're giving me the attack raise. Foul Play Mandibuzz is good for Excadrill, as well as the Dragapult on this team, as well as Landorus. Heatran defensively checks Dragapult, and so does Mandibuzz. And Heatran also defensively checks Koko, same thing with Landorus. So I think that J-Miss has a lot of good offensive and defensive positions here. And honestly, I'd even give the matchup in their favor. Lucha looks borderline useless between Landorus, Koko, as well as Slowbro, but can still be an always great backup check to Bisharp, which is important because you have Intimidate to give it a boost, and Magma Storms can miss. So, whoa, holy crap, that was loud. I don't know if y'all heard that through my headphones, but damn, I'm like, bro, calm down. So we do see Tangrowth as a lead, and I love this lead as Tangrowth. I didn't mention it too much, but Tangrowth leads defensively well versus Koko, Landorus, Slowbro, and Excadrill. And it's also good versus Bisharp too. So only Dragapult could threaten it out, and you have two really good Dragapult switch-ins. So we're going to see the Tangrowth lead versus the Landorus. Now, J-Miss makes a play basically going off the fact that Ash Greninja Ultra Beast over here would expect maybe Sleep Powder and try and get in the electric terrain. And J-Miss goes right for the turn 1 Sludge Bomb and knocks out Koko. Now, granted, great play, right? Great play that involved prediction. Unnecessary, though. Now, J-Miss, great play. I'm going to give you your props for that play. But, man, if you had Leaf Storm, you just clicked it, you would destroy Landorus. You would destroy Landorus, and you'd still Oko Koko. You'd Oko Koko. You'd Oko Koko. You'd Oko it, but you wouldn't also allow them to be able to bring out Bisharp or Excadrill on that turn as well if they were crazy. So, beautiful turn. Obviously, you expected them to anticipate a Sleep Powder and go out to Koko, and the Sludge Bomb worked out for you. Again, great. It worked out beautifully, but Leaf Storm could have accomplished the exact same thing while also hitting Landorus if the opponent was crazy and opted to keep it in, considering Landorus isn't the strongest versus your team or versus their team. So you could have gotten more value out of going for Leaf Storm if you had it than going for Sludge Bomb. But obviously, Landorus comes back in, acknowledging the fact that it's Specs means they can get up rocks. You can get a Mandibuzz or your own Landorus. Keeping your own Landorus healthy, though, so you can deal with the Excadrill makes sense. So we see Landorus come out on the Stealth Rock, and now it's a pretty easy Foul Play or Defog. Actually opts to Foul Play first, which is a pretty good call considering this Landorus ends up being Focus Sash as D. So had you Defog there, you might have lost your Mandibuzz to an Explosion. And right here we are going to see the opposing Landorus come out. I think they're expecting either Explosion or Stone Edge here, and they opt to keep Mandibuzz alive, which again makes sense. It's good versus Pult. I think your own Landorus is still decent versus Excadrill, but I guess if you feel comfortable versus it between, everything, because honestly you have your two grass types, you have a Lucha and Mandibuzz. This is fair. This is fair. This doesn't potentially let you get up rocks if this is your rocker, though. I mean, looking at your team, it could be Scarf, and at least it makes the trade for Landorus, so that's completely fine. I think that was a completely fair thing. Landorus was mainly there for Koko, and it going down is completely fine. Like you got two Pokemon for the price of one, so good. Mana Buzz comes out now because Mana Buzz freaking smacks everything on the team. And all it has to do is click Foul Play. There's no reason to default. Just click Foul Play with what's in front of you. Actually, opts to click U-turn here. I think J-Mist didn't have to. Foul Play would still do like 30% to Bisharp. You smack Dragapult, and this doesn't allow, you don't have to predict here. You smack Excadrill, and if Slowbro comes out, who cares? You can U-turn after. But we're going to see a U-turn out into Rillaboom right now. Now, Rillaboom is really interesting. I guess what Jameis expects here is that because they are Thunder Wave, they're not going to be able to knock him out. They're not Will-O-Wisp, so Rillaboom can't go down, and you're not going to be able to knock him out with the or Draco Meteor if they go for it. I still think they should have just clicked Foul Play with Mana Buzz. I think going for U-turn for the sake of U-turn wasn't necessary. You could U-turn after pretty safely, but this trade ends up being better for Jameis because they get a knockoff off, and they get rid of the Dragapult right there, which was Heavy Duty Boots. Again, the only risk of this is that like if Rillaboom gets fully paralyzed, Excadrill or Slowbro could get out of hand, but because you have Lucha in the back, completely fine. We're going to see Bisharp come out. In terms of this play, yeah, I like the hard Hawlucha play a lot. It doesn't let Bisharp SD for free. Who cares if they go for knockoff because you already lost your item and you have a defense raise. So I really do like the hard Hawlucha play. Also because unless that Scarf Excadrill, Hawlucha outspeeds everything naturally. So you do not need your seeds. So that was a beautiful hard Hawlucha play in my opinion. As we do see the Bisharp go for SD, and Lucha can just go right for Close Combat or Drain Punch or whatever, High Jump Kick, whatever attack it has. We see Drain Punch come out on the Slowbro, and we're seeing the no Rocky Helmet, so we're assuming Heavy Duty Boots. Tangrowth comes right out, which is beautiful because now you just click that Leaf Storm. You don't got to predict. You just click Leaf Storm immediately. You have to go for Sleep Powder here. Now, again, this is not something you have to do in my opinion. I think you could always have gone for... I feel like you're like... Leaf Storm can miss, but Sleep Powder can miss more. And even if they go Bisharp, you get a little bit of damage off of them, and then Heatran can knock it out, or Lucha can still knock it out after. You can always go Mana Buzz on the Future Sight plus SD anyway. You live a +2 Iron Head anyway, and even if they flinch you, you have Heatran to come out after, you have Hawlucha to come out after. So I don't think they needed to go for Sleep Powder. However, this does open up Hawlucha a little bit more, considering it does threaten the other two, and Slowbro is asleep. But I definitely don't think they needed to go for Sleep Powder. I'm really surprised that Ash Greninja ended up staying in here. Going and allowing this thing to go to sleep because again a grass move Okoing Slowbro meant that you just won the game with Close Combat or Drain Punch, excuse me, from Lucha. So I'm also surprised you went for Sleep Powder. But Mana Buzz comes out. We're going to see Bisharp come out here, and on the Future Sight obviously it makes sense why you went this turn. At this point you could either go, you probably always go for a U-turn or Foul Play, but they get fully paralyzed and knock off, and we're going to see Bisharp try to 1v1 it. Bisharp should definitely be trying to go for SDs here in my opinion, but Heatran is going to come out. And again, Lava Plume is free. We do see Bisharp outspeed it, or Lava Plume and Magma Storm are free. And this is what happens. We see Bisharp outspeed it, crit it into a Magma Storm dodge. So I think at this point the opponent is just banking on Slowbro beating Hawlucha, and also just trying to get every position possible because they're obviously in the back at this point, right? They're obviously in the back. They're obviously in the back. So, if we can see right there that my boy's able to outspeed it to a KO because of the crit and dodge. So really down bad right here. Lucha comes out. And what we're going to do is just go right for Close Combat. So they're Close Combat, Drain Punch, Acro. I don't think the opponent should have just sacked Bisharp there. I think Bisharp was still very useful, especially because you saw what it just did. And it can beat these two. So I don't like that play from the opponent. But it works out for you. Bro comes out. At this point, you don't have to SD up. Honestly, you could have just went hard Tangrowth and saved Hawlucha for Excadrill. But that's SD up here, which is going to be enough to, and actually playing around with some stuff. The good thing is Bro can't knock you out with anything but Future Sight, and Scald has a chance to burn, but if you don't get the burn, you get a lot of damage off, and we're going to see the Scald come out there. And now we're going to see Taro come out. This guy refuses to go for a grass type attack, because he goes for Focus Blast here to be with Oko. So again, I feel like you're predicting for or even just doing this for the sake of doing it, but you don't have to. You really don't have to. This extra has to get insanely lucky to beat you. Yeah, you have to get full paralyzed on Rillaboom's Grassy Glide for 1. 2, if you had Leaf Storm here, if you get -2 Leaf Storm off Excadrill, you win anyway. It does too much. It can't KO with +2 life or +2 Iron Head anyway. Let's assume it's even an SD variant and not a Rapid Spin Choice Scarf variant, which it looks like it may be. But we'll see. Excadrill comes out. We do see a Toxic. So it's even a Spadef variant. So it actually can't even beat Mana Buzz. Because first off, it's Toxic. Let's assume Earthquake and let's assume Rapid Spin. We don't know if it's like Protect last move. We don't know if it's Iron Head. It can't win. So I don't think you needed to click Focus Blast and hit it. But obviously they connect right here, and Uxio just gets O-code. So that was a fun one, but like I said, it was a little bit of a mid to lower ladder game, but it showed off Specs Tangrowth. But I wanted to show this off because, again, I wanted to drill the point that you don't have to predict for the sake of predicting, right? Turn one was really cool. It was really flashy. I would have got Smog Tours going all crazy, like, yo, he did it, oh my god. But wasn't necessary. If you have Leaf Storm, this is assuming you had Leaf Storm. If you had Giga Drain, whatever, even if you had Giga Drain, if you had a Giga Drain, like, you do so much with Giga Drain. You do so much to their team with Giga Drain from a Specs Tangrowth. So I think you should have done that instead. But overall, you ended up winning there. I don't even think you needed to click Focus Blast. I think you could just went hard into your grass types and been completely fine, especially because Rillaboom was already, paralyzed, so it couldn't be burnt. I don't think U-turn was ever necessary from Mandibuzz with Coco being gone because Foul Play just hit their team so hard. And the fact that the opponent was willing to give you a Dragapult that turn, which is one of their few mons that could take a Grassy Glide, besides Bisharp, insane to me. But either way, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode of Aim Higher. As always, feel free to leave your replays in the on my website, pokeaimMD.com. The link is down below. Feel free to subscribe, of course, if you enjoyed this. We got some really fun stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.